Good evening, everybody, and welcome to my channel, Kindred Souls of Brooklyn. I'm going to turn the volume up in just a second. I'd like to welcome you to my channel, and in this video, I want to talk about how, if the Planet of the Apes was real, the Statue of Liberty would have ended up in Brooklyn. Now, I've never heard this talked about before. I thought it would be a very unique idea for a movie that completely knocked me out. When I was 8 years old, I saw this for the first time. The movie, of course, came out in 1968, but me being 8 years old in 73, this is when CBS actually bought the rights and it went on TV. So I didn't see it in the movies. I saw it for the first time in 1973. So let's watch this scene and we'll talk about why the Statue of Liberty would have been in Brooklyn if this movie was real.
I'm home. All the time. He finally, really did it. You maniacs! You blew it up! Oh, damn you! God damn you all to hell!
So let's watch the scene again. And as I told you, I'm going to explain to you why this scene would have ended up in Brooklyn if the Planet of the Apes was real. Now, first off, we can all agree that the setting of the Planet of the Apes was the New York City area. If you know about the movie, you know that when Brent comes and actually James Franciscus in the second movie, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, when he shows up to find Taylor, he's in a scene. He's in a subway scene. And I'll show you a picture of this right now. He's in the subway, and it's clearly New York City that he's in that subway. So no doubt that it's New York where this actually takes place, because we all know that these television series that came out later on actually took place in Los Angeles. That was the setting for that. But this was clearly New York City. Now, the reason I say that this scene right here would have been taking place in Brooklyn is because living in Brooklyn my entire life and knowing the trend, knowing the flow of the Hudson River, if this was a real life scene, if you know about the area of Brooklyn and you're around the Brooklyn Bridge, there's lots of things that wash up toward the Brooklyn Bridge. Now, I'm going to show you another video that I did of the area where the Verrazzano Bridge is. And this is my argument, this is what I think is the case, that because of the flow of the Hudson River, where the East River and the Hudson River go up and they split through Manhattan, there's lots of things that wash up around the Brooklyn Bridge area. So it's my guess that this scene right here, if the Planet of the Apes was real, would have actually taken place in Brooklyn Heights, downtown Brooklyn. Because if you're familiar with Brooklyn and you're familiar with Manhattan area, the Statue of Liberty actually sits pretty much next to Manhattan, right across from Red Hook. And with the flow of the river, this scene right here would exactly be right in downtown Brooklyn. Now, if you don't think I'm telling you the truth, which I am, Charlton Heston would laugh at that. Okay, folks, so now back to being serious. So this is the Verrazzano Bridge, and this is what we call the Narrows. This is where if you come into Brooklyn on a cruise ship, you have to pass underneath the Verrazzano Bridge to get to Manhattan. So Staten Island is on your left, Jersey is right after that on your left. The Statue of Liberty would just be a couple of miles down the river from this point right here. But the reason I'm showing you this video that I took is because the flow of the Narrows actually pushes toward Manhattan. Now, if if you read stories on this, or you read up on this, you'll see that underneath the Brooklyn Bridge, that's where most of the things wash up. If a car falls in here, they actually found mammoth bones that was up toward past the Brooklyn Bridge. So this is the trend of this area right here. So like whatever was to go in the water around this area would end up flowing toward the Brooklyn Bridge. So basically, Jersey City, the rear end of the Statue of Liberty faces Jersey City, and the front of the Statue of Liberty that you're looking at right here faces Brooklyn. And which is, if you pull back a little bit to the right, you'll be able to see the Brooklyn Bridge. So where I'm standing right here is in Red Hook. So what would happen is if there was a situation like in the end of the Planet of the Apes, I want to show you this right here. This is what I was showing you before. That in the foreground there is the Verrazzano Bridge. So where that would have been walking. So essentially, the rear end of the statue is facing Jersey. So if there was a situation like what would happen in the Planet of the Apes, the front of the statue would actually flow over here toward Brooklyn. So what you're looking at right here in this area, which is downtown Brooklyn, this would be where the statue would end up. She would end up on that side. So when you're watching the end of the Planet of the Apes, which again, I'll show you again. I hope this is kind of helping you, and I'll put in some pictures as well. But this is a theory, actually, that I think is a very good one. And if you read up on the tides and you read up how these things work, this is where the statue would have been. She would have broken in half, as you saw in the movie. This is a solid base right here. This was actually built on an old fort. And whatever tide or current would have pulled her over to the side. And Charlton Heston would have been actually walking up. So she basically would have been right over there. Now, once again, back to the video I was showing in the beginning that I took. The Statue of Liberty, now you know where the Statue of Liberty would be in proximity to this bridge. She would have washed up a little farther up from here. And when Charlton Heston is actually riding up on his horse with Nova, this is pretty much the direction he would have been going. He would have been walking up this direction, and he would have come to the statue, and probably right underneath the Brooklyn Bridge, downtown Brooklyn. And I could also show you some of that too, but essentially you get the idea. He would have been coming up with the horse right up this direction. The Forbidden Zone probably would have been like, in this area right here, which he would have been in. And the subway, of course, being Manhattan, would have been right near where the statue would have been, of course. So this is my theory. Let me know what you think. I hope you enjoy it. And like I say, folks, just to talk about my own experience now before I close the video, because I haven't talked about this before. I touched on it before about how I saw this movie when I was 8 years old, and it completely knocked me out. So just seeing this scene at 8 years old and growing up in Brooklyn the way I did, and seeing the Statue of Liberty pretty much every day of my life, because we lived on like the highest, near the highest spot in Brooklyn, it just completely floored me at 8 years old. And I really think to this day, this is probably the most interesting, best ending of a movie ever. And the fact that it was thought up by Rod Serling of The Twilight Zone just makes it that much better. So folks, this is Al signing off from Kindred Souls of Brooklyn. Let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed the video. So folks, if you like this video, again, we run a foundation. It's called the Waffles Foundation. You could find us on PayPal or Venmo, the Waffles Foundation, Inc. We donate musical instruments to kids who can't afford them. Always could appreciate a donation. So this is Al signing off from Kindred Souls of Brooklyn. Have a great night.